Welcome back to the channel, US Rare Coins News, Top 1 Coin Lovers, History Seekers, and Treasure Hunters. Today's video is all about a powerful piece of American history that fits right in the palm of your hand. A coin that represents leadership, strength, the space age, and a turning point in US coinage. We're talking about the United States of America Eisenhower $1 coin from 1972. This is not just a dollar coin. It's a tribute, a time capsule, and for some collectors, a surprisingly valuable discovery. Make sure you stay until the end of this video, because the auction prices for certain 1972 Eisenhower dollars may shock you. The Eisenhower dollar was introduced during a time of great change in America. After the death of President Dwight D. Eisenhower in 1969, the nation wanted a lasting tribute to honor a man who had shaped both military and political history. Eisenhower was not only the 34th President of the United States, but also the supreme Allied commander during World War II, leading the forces that helped bring victory in Europe. When the U.S. Mint decided to place his portrait on a dollar coin, it marked the first time a U.S. coin honored a president who had been both a general and a commander-in-chief in such a monumental way. The year 1972 is especially important in the Eisenhower dollar series. By this time, the coin had already been in circulation for a short period, but the mint was still refining its designs and production techniques. These coins were struck at multiple mints, and subtle differences appeared that would later become legendary among collectors. At the time of release, most people viewed these coins as large, heavy, and inconvenient for everyday use. Many were spent, scratched, dropped, and forgotten. Few imagined that decades later, collectors would carefully inspect every detail of these coins with magnification and passion. When you look at the front of the 1972 Eisenhower dollar, the first thing that stands out is the strong, dignified portrait of Dwight D. Eisenhower. His expression is calm, firm, and confident, reflecting the leadership qualities he was known for. The engraving captures deep lines and bold features, giving the coin a commanding presence. Above his head appears the word liberty, a core American value, while the national motto "In God We Trust" is placed nearby. Beneath Eisenhower's portrait is the date 1972, simple yet powerful, marking this coin's place in history. Turning the coin over reveals one of the most iconic reverse designs ever used on a US dollar coin. The reverse was inspired by the Apollo 11 moon landing, one of America's greatest achievements. It shows a bald eagle descending toward the surface of the moon, clutching an olive branch in its talons. The Earth can be seen rising in the distance, a reminder of humanity's reach beyond its home planet. This design symbolizes peace, strength, and technological triumph, all wrapped into a single image. Around the edge are the words United States of America and $1, with E pluribus unum completing the message. What truly makes the 1972 Eisenhower dollar fascinating is that not all of them are the same. To the untrained eye, one coin may look identical to another, but collectors know better. Certain versions of the 1972 Eisenhower dollar feature subtle design differences on the reverse, especially in the way the Earth appears above the moon. These differences were not intentional at first and came from the use of different master dies during production. At the time, no one at the mint or in the public realized that these variations would one day become highly collectible. Because these coins were widely circulated, finding one in exceptional condition today is far more difficult than many people expect. Large dollar coins tend to show contact marks easily due to their size and weight. Coins that were stored carelessly or used frequently often display scratches, dull surfaces, and worn details. On the other hand, coins that were carefully preserved, especially those with sharp details, original luster, and no major marks, stand out dramatically in the eyes of collectors. Another factor that adds to the appeal of the 1972 Eisenhower dollar is its place in U.S. monetary history. This was a time when silver was disappearing from circulating coinage, and Americans were adjusting to clad compositions. The Eisenhower dollar bridged the gap between traditional silver dollars of the past and modern coinage. It represents the end of an era and the beginning of a new one, making it especially meaningful to collectors who appreciate historical context. Over the years, demand for Eisenhower dollars has grown steadily. New collectors are drawn to their bold size and historical significance, while advanced collectors hunt for specific varieties and high-grade examples. Coin grading has also played a major role in defining value. Coins that survive in pristine condition and receive top grades from professional grading services often command strong attention at auction, sometimes sparking bidding wars among serious collectors. Now comes the part everyone has been waiting for. Let's talk about real auction results, because auction prices tell the true story of what collectors are willing to pay. Standard circulated 1972 Eisenhower dollars typically sell for modest amounts, often just a few dollars. However, uncirculated examples in higher grades have sold at auction for significantly more, often ranging from tens to hundreds of dollars depending on condition. Certain recognized 1972 reverse varieties have achieved even stronger results. High-grade examples of these sought-after varieties have sold at major coin auctions for several $1,000s. In rare cases, top population specimens with exceptional eye appeal and professional grading have reached auction prices exceeding $10,000, with some recorded sales approaching and even surpassing $20,000 when competition is intense. Top 2. Today, we're traveling back to the early 1970s, a time of change, ambition, and bold ideas in the United States. In your hand, it may look like just a large, heavy coin, but in reality, it's a powerful symbol of leadership, national pride, and a brand new chapter in American coinage. Today's spotlight is on the United States of America Eisenhower $1 coin from 1971. This coin carries history, mystery, and for some lucky collectors, serious money. Make sure you stay until the very end, because that's where we reveal the real auction prices that have made this coin famous among collectors. The year 1971 marked the return of the dollar coin to American pockets after a long absence. For decades, silver dollars had slowly disappeared from everyday use, becoming more of a collector's item than a practical form of currency. But after the passing of Dwight D. Eisenhower in 1969, the nation sought a meaningful way to honor a man who had shaped modern America. Eisenhower was not only the 34th President of the United States, but also the Supreme Allied Commander during World War II, leading millions of troops and helping to secure victory in Europe. Few Americans have ever carried such responsibility, and even fewer have left such a lasting legacy. The Eisenhower dollar was born as a tribute to that legacy. The 1971 Eisenhower $1 coin was especially significant because it was the very first year of issue. First-year coins often hold a special place in the hearts of collectors, and this one is no exception. When the coin was released, it immediately stood out. It was large, bold, and unlike any circulating coin Americans had seen in years. Some loved it, some found it impractical, but no one could ignore it. When you examine the front of the 1971 Eisenhower dollar, you're greeted by a commanding portrait of Dwight D. Eisenhower. His face is strong and thoughtful, capturing both his military discipline and presidential dignity. The engraving emphasizes depth and realism, giving the coin a serious and authoritative appearance. The word liberty stretches across the top, reminding viewers of the core value Eisenhower fought to protect. In God We Trust appears near the portrait, and the date 1971 anchors the coin firmly in its historical moment. The reverse side of the coin is equally impressive and deeply symbolic. Rather than a traditional eagle design, the U.S. Mint chose imagery inspired by one of America's greatest achievements, the Apollo 11 moon landing. The eagle is shown descending toward the lunar surface, holding an olive branch as a symbol of peace. In the distance, the Earth rises above the horizon, representing humanity's reach beyond its home planet. This design perfectly blends patriotism, science, and hope for the future. Around the edge, United States of America and $1 declare the coin's identity, while E pluribus unum reinforces unity. What makes the 1971 Eisenhower dollar especially fascinating is the variety within the year itself. These coins were produced at different mints, and they came in different finishes and compositions. Some were struck for circulation, while others were made specifically for collectors. At the time, most people didn't think twice about these differences. Coins were spent, stacked, and stored without much care. Decades later, collectors would realize just how important those early production choices were. Condition plays a massive role in the value of the 1971 Eisenhower dollar. Because of its large size, the coin is especially prone to marks, scratches, and surface damage. Coins that were used in everyday transactions often show heavy contact marks, dull surfaces, and worn details. Finding a 1971 Eisenhower dollar with sharp details, strong luster, and minimal marks is far more difficult than many people expect. That difficulty is exactly what drives collector demand. Another reason collectors are drawn to the 1971 Eisenhower dollar is its position in U.S. coin history. This coin represents the transition into a modern era of coinage. Silver was no longer used in circulating coins, and America was redefining what its money would look like in the future. The Eisenhower dollar stands at that crossroads, bridging the classic silver dollars of the past with the modern designs that followed. Over time, interest in Eisenhower dollars has grown steadily. New collectors are attracted to their size, history, and affordability, while advanced collectors pursue specific varieties and high-grade examples. Coin grading has transformed the market, allowing collectors to identify the very best surviving specimens. Coins with exceptional eye appeal, clean surfaces, and strong strikes are now fiercely competed for when they appear at auction. Now we arrive at the moment you've been waiting for, the auction prices. While many 1971 Eisenhower dollars are common and sell for modest amounts, uncirculated examples in high grades have achieved impressive results at auction. Some well-preserved circulation strikes have sold for hundreds of dollars. Certain specially produced versions in top condition have brought thousands of dollars at major auctions. In rare cases, exceptional examples graded at the highest levels have reached auction prices well into the five-figure range, with some documented sales climbing beyond $10,000 when demand is strong and collectors compete aggressively. Top 3. Today, we're diving into a fascinating chapter of American coinage, one that reflects a changing nation, a bold design, and a dollar coin that many people once overlooked. The spotlight today is on the United States of America Eisenhower $1 coin from 1974. This coin may seem ordinary at first glance, but behind its large size and familiar design lies a story of history, symbolism, and surprising collector interest. Stay with me until the very end, because that's where we'll talk about real auction prices that show what this coin can truly be worth. By 1974, the Eisenhower dollar had already been part of American life for a few years. The coin was introduced to honor Dwight D. Eisenhower, a man whose influence on the United States was immense. He was the Supreme Allied Commander during World War II, leading forces that helped secure victory in Europe, and later served as the 34th President of the United States. His leadership style was calm, strategic, and steady, and those qualities were intentionally captured in the design of the coin that bears his name. The early 1970s were a time of transition in the United States. The country was adjusting to new economic realities, new technology, and new ideas about money itself. Traditional silver coins were no longer part of everyday circulation, and the Eisenhower dollar represented a modern approach to large denomination coins. By the time 1974 arrived, these dollars were being produced in significant numbers, yet they were still not widely embraced for daily use. Many people found them too heavy or inconvenient, which led to large quantities being set aside, stored, or simply forgotten. When you look at the front of the 1974 Eisenhower dollar, the presence of Dwight D. Eisenhower is unmistakable. His portrait dominates the coin, showing him with a firm, thoughtful expression. The engraving is bold and detailed, emphasizing strength and authority without exaggeration. Above his head is the word liberty, a timeless reminder of the principles Eisenhower defended throughout his life. The phrase "In God We Trust" appears near the portrait, and the date 1974 sits below, quietly marking this coin's place in history. Turning the coin over reveals one of the most iconic reverse designs in modern U.S. coinage. The eagle landing on the moon, inspired by the Apollo 11 mission, connects the Eisenhower dollar to America's achievements beyond Earth. The eagle holds an olive branch, symbolizing peace, while the Earth floats in the background, reminding viewers of humanity's shared home. This design is powerful because it blends patriotism, science, and hope into a single image. The inscriptions United States of America and $1 clearly define the coin, while E Pluribus Unum reinforces the idea of unity. What makes the 1974 Eisenhower dollar especially interesting to collectors is not just its design, but its condition and survival rate. Because these coins are large and made of a copper-nickel-clad composition, they tend to show wear very easily. Contact marks, scratches, and dull surfaces are extremely common. Coins that were used in circulation often lost their visual appeal quickly. As a result, finding a 1974 Eisenhower dollar with clean surfaces, strong luster, and sharp details is far more challenging than many people expect. Another layer of appeal comes from the different ways these coins were produced. Some 1974 Eisenhower dollars were made for circulation, while others were produced with collectors in mind. At the time, many people did not take special care to preserve them. Rolls were opened, coins were handled, and protective packaging was sometimes discarded. Decades later, collectors now compete for the best surviving examples, especially those that still display their original mint brilliance. The 1974 Eisenhower dollar also represents a moment when America was redefining its relationship with money. Inflation, changing prices, and evolving public habits all played a role in how these coins were perceived. While they never became a favorite for everyday spending, they quietly gained appreciation among collectors who valued their size, historical significance, and bold design. Over time, the Eisenhower dollar has developed a strong following, and the 1974 issue is an important part of that story. Condition is everything in today's collector market. A worn 1974 Eisenhower dollar may only spark mild interest, but a high-quality example can attract serious attention. Coins that show full detail in Eisenhower's hair, crisp lettering, and minimal surface marks stand out immediately. Add strong eye appeal and professional grading, and suddenly a coin that once passed through vending machines becomes a sought-after collectible. Now let's talk about what everyone really wants to know: auction prices. Most circulated 1974 Eisenhower dollars sell for relatively small amounts, often just a few dollars. However, uncirculated examples in higher grades have sold at auction for significantly more, often reaching into the hundreds of dollars depending on quality. Coins produced specifically for collectors and preserved in top condition have achieved even stronger results. In some cases, exceptional specimens graded at very high levels have brought thousands of dollars at major auctions. When competition is strong and collectors are chasing the finest known examples, auction prices can climb dramatically, with some standout sales reaching several $1,000s.